Yeah.
It's funny. I've gone from full on notes on my computer to now certain things I need to put sticky notes. I need to have it in front of me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, even notes on my computer, I forget. There's too much.
Well, and my thing, like one of the reasons why I created Study Max is the ADHD thing. It's like, if I'm engaged in another task, for me to be able to execute at least halfway efficiently, I have to write down the thoughts that are also good thoughts, because I'm more of an ideation person than an execution person.
Mm.
And I know that about myself, which is why it's better to delegate some things to other people. But man, if I don't write it down in the moment, it's fleeting and it's gone. And it's like, that was an excellent idea. And then maybe I'll revisit it or it'll come back to me a week or two later. But it's like, that's why I just write sticky notes down. And then I spend an hour consolidating or something after.
Just take a photo of the whole lot of them and tell ChatGPT to make it into a concise list. Boom, there you
Great
go.
idea. It's a great idea.
I do this all the time.
You?
I have LinkedIn conversations where I'll have to, if I have to put it into a CRM or something like that, I'll highlight the whole thing. I'll put in ChatGPT and I'll just say, hey, can you just make this nice and clean and format it properly? And just all those little productivity hacks that would take me forever to do and appease my ADHD. It's or my OCD, I guess I should say, or both.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of successful people are like that. It's funny. I was watching Andy Frisella, the CEO of First Form. He was doing a video clip or something the other day. And he's like, I would much rather have somebody who's like hungry and damaged and anxious and fearful and all of that, because it keeps them driven in the zone all of the time, than somebody who's just like occasionally motivated by like a video or a quotation or something. It was just kind of that thing. It was just like the OCD and the ADHD like actually works really well for a lot of entrepreneurs if they can find a way to harness it.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's one of the things I think all of us have discovered along the journey is there's a million people online following Alex Hermosi commenting like, yeah, bro, yeah, let's get it. Yeah, or Andrew Tate or someone, right? And they're like, yeah, man, let's make that money. And then they don't do anything about it. Or they're motivated in the moment with a video, but they're not disciplined enough to follow through and with continuous action and actually create results. So that's when I remember early on, I had a mentor tell me, more or less, you have to kind of be okay with the boring, right? Find the action steps you need to do on a daily basis and then just do them until you're successful. And it will become boring, it will become monotonous, but like that's the success journey is actually quite boring, right? Because you're doing those steps consistently.
Yeah, you see Hormozy post about that. He's like, get good at the boring stuff, because then that's what And one thing, I had a sticky note on my desk for like over 10 years. I had to rewrite it several times, but it was from Gary Vaynerchuk, and I've been watching Gary for a long time, like over 10 years, because I was a marketing guy. And he in one of his videos, he said execution is the game. And for me, that really lands, because, like I said, I'm the ideation person, which execution is a challenge.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of shower
Mm.
thoughts?
For most people. Oh yeah, all the time. I keep like a notepad by my bed too, like in the middle of the night. If you wake up, you can't sleep, you're thinking about something. It's like, if I don't write it down, I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, there's many times I'll literally stick my head out of the shower and I'm like, Siri, add to notes.
Nice.
Probably doing it right now. No, it's good. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So tell me, I guess let's get a little bit more granular. Like, I want to know
Yeah, we
how
got a couple
you
there already, I think.
yeah, I want to know how you got into where you are too. Like, I know you have the relationship with Brand Alchemy, and that's a really cool platform. I really enjoy it. I'm going to use that at some point. Um, but yeah, and all the other things that you're involved in, I think it's interesting.
I mean, you want to start back in 1995 when I was, no, I'm kidding.
I mean, like the last couple years, because like I feel like your trajectory and where you're going, at least in our conversations we've had on a personal level outside of something like this, you're kind of doing this and you're tracking, and it's like, when is the top going to pop off? And it could be any time.
Yeah, that would be absolutely lovely. I would appreciate the topping off. No, the top popping off. That was a literary exercise for me. Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting trajectory. I would say the main common point of all the work I've been doing is just building a lot of connections. I realized very early on, I would say, well, to take you back a little bit, I was in the military 7-ish years ago. When I got out, I had no idea what the heck to do. Didn't know what I wanted. Didn't know what the degree I had wasn't going to fulfill me in terms of pursuing that line of work in criminal justice or social work or anything I could do in that field, law. So I started to ask myself, well, what kind of a life do I want to live? And looked around and saw the people that were in my life, and the answer was nobody's living the kind of life I want. Nobody has the freedom, the income, the impact, the mobility, all these elements I decided I want for my life. I knew nobody who had it. So I started watching, funny enough, like you mentioned earlier, Gary Vee. Alex Hormozy wasn't really a thing yet at that point. This is maybe 7-8 years ago. But I watched these guys, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, Robert Kiyosaki. Who else was big back then? Dean Graziosi, these kind of guys. And it fired the heck out of me. Fired up the heck out of me.
Lit a fire under your, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just from there, I started a small marketing agency, which was just, I saw an ad that sold a course and I bought a course, and that was how I got into that first business. And then from there, it was just snowballing. I bought a course for this. I learned this. I met this guy that did this. I bought a course for that. And I realized pretty quickly, thankfully, without spending too much time and too much money, that success was going to come from the right relationships more than it was going to come from the right opportunity or, a fancy job offering or something. So I kind of shifted my focus in looking for what I want to do, and rather looking for people who had the lifestyle that I want. Ultimately, it's kind of looking for the end goal and the outcome more than just the process. And so that led me to my mentors at the time, who were in the network marketing space, and not a space I thought I would get into, but these people had results. They had a track record. They were good people. And for about 5 years or so, I just built my character, my ability to speak, my confidence, my knowledge about business. It really helped build me. And long story short, fast forward over this last year, I transitioned away from that business model more into some other independent work and into different freelance things, and figuring out who I am and what I want, and really what is the Palassis brand I'm trying to build. But in that journey, again, always looking for the right relationships. And that's just been this process of, from meeting, you don't know her, but Sophia, who is a good friend and has helped me a lot. And she gave me some opportunity. From there, met the Brand Alchemy guys. From there, through my own kind of stuff, met Brad Lee. And then from Brad Lee, I connected him to Sophia and to Brand Alchemy. And because I did that, they were impressed. And this person was impressed. And then I met this person who knew this person. And it just became this web of connections that now you and I are talking. And you and I is part of that. I mean, I reached out to you on Instagram, just cold DM, just to say hi. But again, it's always with the intention of building relationships rather than just trying to sell something. Because I think when I messaged you, I didn't even have anything for you. Like, I didn't even have anything to sell you at the time anyways. I just know the value of connections. And so that's what I'm still doing, because I'm definitely not there yet, right? And so to get there, whatever there is, I know it's going to be through the right people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that. I think you have good self-awareness, because when I think of you, I think of you as a connector, right? And two things that come to mind is there's a great, I think it came out in about 2004, movie called Layer Cake. It's a Daniel Craig movie when he was a young Daniel Craig. It's a great movie, actually, if you have a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes in that movie is, he says, "The art of good business is being a good middleman." And that always stuck with me too. That's something that I always keep in mind in terms of networking and connections and all of that. And back when I was still doing commercial real estate lending in capital markets, there was a really wealthy commercial real estate developer, and he told me, he said, money is like water. It's always flowing like in a river. And he said, the more you get in the middle of it, at some point you're going to get wet. And it was, that stuck with me too. It was like, oh, like you just keep putting out that effort and you connect, especially the big players to the other players, and you add value. And at some point, one of those deals, as it crosses, something is going to stick with you, and you're going to start to build yourself up too. And I think that you're that guy, and I think that you do a great job of it. And that just time, man. It's just, like I said, at some point you're going to be looking the other way, just doing what you're doing, focusing on the journey, and the top's going to come off.
Yeah. I'm waiting for it. I'm excited for it. I appreciate that though, a lot. On that note though, I appreciate what you were saying, but so in terms of being the middleman, in terms of being the connector and all that, you've had quite the illustrious career and done many things and been successful. And now you're kind of in this trajectory of, to an extent, being a product guy. I think of you as more than just a product guy, but you do have a product that you're taking to market and have taken to market now. So what for you was that transition? What made you realize, I want to have something tangible I can sell, versus being a broker, versus being, in marketing, or being in more of these kind of digital or non-tangible services?
Sure. Yeah. And I think I mean, to some degree, services are easy to scale, right? And there's less overhead, and there's benefits to being in services. I think it's been kind of a longer journey. I can't really. There's a lot of variables that go into that. I think one is also kind of looking downstream into the future, like what is going to happen with this AI stuff, and what service industries are going to go. And service industries are going to be some of the first ones to go. I'm not talking about physical services like house cleaning and all that. Like when the robotics get more advanced, that's going to happen too. But for now, you understand what I mean? Like lawyer type stuff, certain things that are like document information based are going to evaporate. And so I see, kind of some of the stuff that I was doing, including marketing, changing so dramatically or moving away that it was kind of, I want to do something else. And have a tangible product to sell, because tangible products still can't be eliminated for one thing. I also come from, health and fitness background, supplements, nutrition, all of that stuff. And I also like to solve problems, do philanthropic things, do things that are feel good. And so, I see a lot of problems, especially with the younger people, and I'm going to take it back to college, which is why I created this company, Panglossian, the company, and StudyMax as a product. A lot of these college kids, yeah, thank you. Thanks for the plug. Um, Here's a stat for you, and this is one of the things that caught me. It was 50% of four-year college students, by the time their sophomore year is over, will have been offered a prescription study drug, either from one of their physicians or from somebody who they don't have a prescription for it, right? So they're not supposed to have it, like an Adderall or a Ritalin or something, some other prescription. And then by the time they graduate, 50% of four-year college students will have tried a prescription study drug. And I'm sitting here scratching my head going, okay, like if we're talking anywhere about 65 million kids, I say, young adults are enrolled in a four-year college, like that's a lot of people. And that's kind of that entryway funnel of when people are getting roped into these prescription pharmaceuticals. And it's, and they're laden with side effects. They're not good for you long term, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of these people are undiagnosed. They're just, getting this black market, or it's just easy to find, easy enough to get a script for it. You can walk in your doctor's office and say, I want Adderall, and they just give you one.
Yeah.
Give you a script for it. So that was one reason. And then kind of the ubiquitous use of, convenience store. I'm just going to rope it into this as a generalization. Convenience store style energy drinks, right? With tons of sugar. They either have, I know you use them too, tons of sugar. And if they don't have tons of sugar, then they usually have artificial sweeteners like sucralose, which can be carcinogenic. And they don't have very many health benefits. It's usually a caffeine, artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, and not much in terms of health benefits. And so I wanted to kind of transition over, especially with the younger group, to get them involved in something that's actually healthy, that gives them the same kind of benefits without the side effects of both of those things, of the pharmaceuticals as well as these, very ubiquitous energy drinks. So
Yeah, I would say there's a big gap market for that, because like you said, pharmaceuticals or just, energy drink. I mean, coffee, I wouldn't say is even in there. Coffee's great, but it's
still drink it. I love it. Tastes great.
Yeah, and some of these energy drinks now too, like, I mean, hold on, what do I have here? I have an Alani. It's not as intense as some of them, but I've seen some with 1200%, B12 or which, again, it's not that's terrible, I guess, for you, but I mean, you would probably know more about these percentages.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the B vitamin suite, to overdose it, if you want to call it that, it's not really that. Usually it's niacin, and you'll get what's called niacin flush, and you'll turn really beet red. And niacin is actually really just B3, vitamin B3. They just call it niacin. So yeah, that's usually the one, but you don't really need that much. When you take over, some of the vitamins are okay to go to 300, 400%, stuff like that. But you usually just pee them out. It's better to parse them out throughout the day.
Yeah.
Morning and evening or something.
Side note, my mom's a pharmacist, and years ago when I started drinking these energy drinks, and I told her, I said, hey, is this healthy? Is this okay? And she was like, I wouldn't drink it, whatever. But the one I had at the time wasn't terrible, right? So I asked her a couple days later, I was like, hey, don't tell anybody, but my pee is neon. Is there a reason for this? And she's like, what's the vitamin B percentage essentially in the drink? And I was like, it's like 600% just for B12, never mind B6 or B, And she was like, that's why your pee is like neon. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was shocking.
Yeah, when I was younger to bodybuilding still, it was we would take B complex,
Mm.
which was, a whole bunch of different B vitamins stacked together into one B, which is great, but it would do the same thing. It's like, man, your pee glows in the dark. Is this okay?
And something too, and I think where that gap is, so okay, for me personally, I've told you this, but to be transparent, it's not, I'm not on heroin, but I do find that caffeine, my tolerance level is obviously a lot higher than the average person at this point.
Me too.
So it it gets me going. I would say it definitely helps and aids in my day, but it doesn't give me focus. And one of my friends thinks I have undiagnosed ADHD, probably whatever. But because of that, my brain I'm thinking about a million things at once all the time. And sometimes you talked earlier about execution. Sometimes it hinders me in my execution because even though I want to act, I don't know what to act on because I have 75 tasks that I want to perform that day. So what I take to even help with that clarity is I take nicotine pouches. Never smoked. I like a cigar once in a while, but I don't smoke or take any other substances at all for any kind of focus or any kind of. So it's not like I need those to wean off of cigarettes, but I have found that the nicotine for me helps focus. Obviously, it's not the best solution. So I got these and I got nicotine pouches. And from the sounds of it, and I know a little bit more about your product personally, but since we're talking about it, how does your product kind of almost fill that void so you don't necessarily need to take all the other additives and substances?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, nicotine is a powerful compound. I mean, it does work, and I think whether or not you're a proponent of them, like the Tates are big into that. Like, hey, the nicotine thing, it's coffee and nicotine for us all day. Justin Waller, shout out to him. He's a great guy, actually. I know I've been getting to know Justin personally, and he's a proponent of nicotine as well. But anyway, what we do to keep it super healthy and all of that without any of the addictive type chemicals in it is we use nootropics. So we have two different nootropics in our formula, which is lion's mane mushroom and alpha GPC, which is actually a amino acid. It sounds scary, but it's just an amino acid, and those produce acetylcholine in your brain, which are great for memory recall, learning, synaptic function, like creating new neural pathways and brain elasticity. And those are the same kind of benefits you get why people are now microdosing psilocybin mushrooms, but you get that without the trip or like the weird stuff. So to me, incorporating that into a study formula and like for students specific, I mean, it works great for everybody. Like I use it for work and everything. We just marketed it to that and we can get to that later. But we did the nootropics because those really help with focus and recall and all of the things that you're talking about and kind of narrowing the noise down.
Yeah.
It's not the same as an Adderall, but it's pretty good for a natural product. You've tried it. And in terms of like the caffeine can also cause, and stimulants in general can also sometimes cause issues where you're more scattered and not as focused and narrow. I mean, especially if you have too much, right? And
Yeah.
so we put theanine, L-theanine, which is also an amino acid, into our product, which tempers the caffeine really, really well because it does kind of the opposite of caffeine, where so the way how much do you want to know about this?
I mean, as deep as you want to go. I mean,
Here, I'll try to keep it short. Caffeine essentially blocks adenosine. Adenosine is the signal to your body that you're tired. When you start to come down,
I
you
gotta
feel
put my
like
learning glasses on.
yeah, here you go. So caffeine blocks adenosine, doesn't actually increase much. It just stops that from happening. Okay. And then you have your L-theanine, and L-theanine basically is like GABA production. It does serotonin and dopamine production, and that actually calms all of your nerves, calms your synapses and and lots of brain chemistry. Let's just leave it at that. And so when you pair them together, basically it drops that jitters down and increases the calm at the same time, and they kind of meet in the middle. And so it really tempers the feel, especially you get the energy benefits, but you also don't get that drop off of the back end where at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I need 3 more coffees to feel like I can make it to bedtime.
Right.
And so you still come down a little bit, but it's not the same. You don't get the headache, and you certainly don't get the come down effects coming off of like an Adderall.
Yeah. Which is, that'd be very helpful to not have. How do you even get into formulating these things where you take the benefits, but the detriments and how does that even happen?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with a neuroscientist out of San Diego from SDSU to formulate the product, and it was really cool because we went through and like people think that you just like throw stuff in a box and it's like, hey, let's sell this, which some companies do, and they white label stuff, and it's like, hey, I'm just taking another product, I'm slapping a different label on it, and we're remarketing it, and that's what they do, which can make money, but it's not really innovative. It's not actually providing extra benefit to people, and so what we did is we went through and we were like, okay, like what not only what ingredients are we going to pair in here and how do they work synergistically, but like what are the dosages within here too? So, like 100 milligrams of L-theanine, you mix that with some theobromine, some other things too. And we don't need to get into the chemistry of that, but we basically went through all of the white papers and said, okay, what are the safest ingredients that we can put in here? What don't have any other drug or prescription pharmaceutical interactions? What don't interact with other things? Like what are the there's like a common allergen list too, in that some people there's like a majority list where you can say no allergens. Like we can actually put no known allergens on our box because none of the ingredients have that. And there are some ingredients I would like to include in that I would personally take, but they could be on that list. And so we just eliminated that so that it's safe for everybody. And so that's how we came up with the formula. It's like, okay, we wanted eye support, which there is, immune support, because kids are staying up late studying. They're in groups of people, large groups of people. They're in libraries, they're in coffee shops, they're in classes with 500 people in a room, like whatever. And so we did the immune component of that, and then all of the energy and focus to give them a good study product. And we were going to do it in like a pill form or something like that, but we wanted it to be shareable.
Sure.
And a lot of kids on campuses are carrying, visible water bottles and all that too, to be eco-conscious, which I appreciate. And they can just dump a stick pack in there to mix it up, and they can give one to their friend. They can have 5 in their backpack. It takes up no space. And so we did it in a stick pack drink mix so that they can share and they can just always have it in their bag.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best format. Even in my gym bag, I have on each side of my bag, one is hard candies if I want like a lifesaver mint while I'm at the gym. And then the other side is all my sticks. So I got amino acid, I got a pre-workout, a post-workout. I got some of yours in there. So you just different sticks that I can. And then if I have a friend who's like, oh man, I just started my workout and I'm done, I got a pre-workout stick or something I can just give them. So I think it's probably the best format. And by the way, if anybody's hearing this, most things you buy are white labeled and not original. For someone who did a lot of studying into Amazon FBA years ago, because I was going to have an Amazon store,
Yep.
I was shocked actually to learn how many things are just made in the same factory in China. And then a guy like you and me goes on Alibaba. They say, hey, Chinese supplier, can I please get my logo? I want it in blue. Give me 500 units.
That's how that whole drop shipping thing started.
Yeah, like I got a massage gun, but guaranteed probably the first 2 pages of Amazon, all the different massage guns are made in the same warehouse. Unless it's a specific company that their whole story, that they manufacture their own product. Like maybe if Sony made a massage gun, maybe it wouldn't be made in the same factory as these random Amazon brands. But most things are. And I was actually shocked to find out how many supplements, especially on Amazon, are all made in the same factory. They're just a blanket pill, and you get to customize the bottle and kind of put whatever you want on it, frankly.
100%.
And supplements are not regulated by the FDA, by any major organization. So I'm not going to, yell out statistics here because I forget the exact numbers. But it was staggering to me when I actually found out how many supplement companies exaggerate, lie, just manipulate their labeling just to say, well, we have this many milligrams of turmeric, just to find out there's literally no turmeric in the supplement itself,
which is crazy.
Diet yellow.
So I will tell you, if you're going to buy supplements, this is a public service announcement for everybody. You want to make sure on your box that there is a GMP logo right here. That means good manufacturing practices, and that means that those guys come in there. They're basically like the FDA of supplements, if you want to call it that. And they come in and they test your product. They make sure that your product makes weight, and they're really specific. They make sure that everything that is that you have on your nutrition facts panel is in the box. Like you said, like if you say there's turmeric in there, they test it and they make sure and they spot check all of that stuff. And for us specifically, like I said, this is a proprietary product. This isn't anywhere else. This is ours. And so we actually take it a step further and we quality test all of our ingredients when we come in because they're sourced from all over the world. Some of this stuff is hard to find. Like most people don't know vitamin D3, tocopherol comes from sheep's wool, which is like 90% from New Zealand, like that kind of stuff. And so we will test them for any type of contaminants, heavy metals, all of that stuff before it goes into the product. And then like the flavoring systems, the coloring systems that they call flavoring systems, they all go through a flavor house. And for all natural products, it takes a long time and a lot of money, I can tell you, to get a flavoring system that's right, that tastes as good as this does, that's not artificial.
That's good to know. And in Canada, by the way, I don't know, I think it's kind of the same. We have this thing, probably can't see it. It's called an NPN number. So every kind of supplemental product has to have an NPN number. And then also a lot of the stuff I get is NSF certified, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I'm actually curious. Is that something you think, because I know it's a whole process. You got to go through the organization. Are you guys thinking about going that route?
Yeah. We're going to do NSF. There's another one too. I can't remember what the designation, the seal is called. And we qualify for NSF. It's just a long process. It's like 6 to 8 months and there's a backlog and it's really expensive. And you have to do it if you change your formula, which we didn't know if we wanted to add some other things as well. Because we're still kind of, we're just taking it to market now. We basically hard launched in April. The company's been incorporated since December of 23, but we just hard launched it in April. And I've got, half a dozen other flavors to test sitting on my desk that I haven't tried yet that we're going to add to the kind of suite of products that we offer flavor wise.
Cookies and cream.
Yeah. We've got like a white gummy bear and
nice.
all kinds of like cool stuff that people will like. And it's all natural, which is crazy. But to get back to that, you have to submit each lot individually. So like the lemon lime, the formula can't change, even if you changed the percentages. Like if we went from, let's just say 100 milligrams of vitamin C to 150 milligrams of vitamin C, you've got to resubmit it. Otherwise it's not stamped gold standard, And so we wanted to make sure everything was perfectly dialed before we spend the time, because it's about 10 grand a product to do that. And that's per flavor. So if you've got 5 flavors, even in one product like Study Max, which is excellent, it's like, it's going to, it's 50 grand in 6, 7, 8 months before you can use that to market the product as NSF or whatever. So,
yeah. Well, it's good to know. It's, I think it's important to be, especially in this day and age, where so many people would consider themselves informed consumers, and yet so many aren't informed on some of the basic products they take daily, whether it's their supplements or their soap or their shampoo, right? We're informed about our cars, but then not what we put on our skin and in our body. So it's, it's interesting. And I think that there's a wave definitely now more than ever, even with this Maha movement in America and macaw. I'm trying to think what it would be called in Canada. So, yeah, macaw.
The colored Amazonian bird. It's fine. Related to the parrot.
Yeah. So it's good to know kind of what's in these products and what we're taking, because even I just learned this recently, actually. Protein powders. A good whey protein powder, I think on average, is about 50%. I forget if the word is bioavailable, or it's essentially what your body, I believe that's the right word, what your body can absorb from that protein. A good plant protein powder is like 30%. So in other words, if there's 100 grams of protein, you're only actually absorbing 30. So in other words, whey will always be better for absorption. There are some brands, like the one that I use right now, actually, apparently it's about 75 to 80% absorption rate. And it's NSF certified. It's grass-fed, 5-ingredient organic. DM me if you want a link. But I am very specific on the things that I buy and try, and I wouldn't even be talking to you about your product and posting this online if I didn't actually believe or think that it was good, because I don't want to. There's a lot of things I'll consume, like for instance, like I'll have these things because it is what it is. I'll buy them at the gas station when they're 2 for $7, whatever. But I'm not necessarily promoting it as a health product or telling people they should go buy it. It's just something I do for me, right? Just like the pouches. I'm not telling people to go do it. But for me, I know the benefits. However, should there be an alternative that is healthier and helps me study them to the max, then I'm always looking for something better.
I'll give you a pro tip on the whey protein. So when you're buying your wheys, Look, the ones that are less bioavailable are concentrates. So if you do a whey concentrate, it's like 40%, and if you do an isolate, it's like 70%, 75% bioavailable. And so you can weigh the difference. Isolates are a little bit more expensive, but still, if you apply the percentages to them, you can see what your body can assimilate better and what they can.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Oh, one thing too, I don't know how much time you want to, I don't know how long you want to keep going on this,
As long
but
as you
because
want
I
it.
feel like we could keep going forever. But the one thing I definitely want to cover, because this is relevant to me, and I actually want your thoughts on this, because you're a little bit older, you're a little bit more successful, you're a little bit more, fit. Some other thing, your goals for me, Tyler, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. I appreciate
And,
that. Flattered.
and so
I
and
didn't get any
so
sleep, so I have bags in my eyes today, though. So you look better than me.
yeah. So that being said, one thing I am trying to dial in, because I'll be honest, I have zero morning routine. I hate the mornings. I work, so my current schedule is like this. I will wake up around 10:30, let's say 10, try to close my eyes a couple more times, groggily get up slowly, and the first thing I do typically is by 11, like in terms of whether it's a meeting or it's work or whatever. But in saying that, I go to bed at like 3:30, sometimes 4 a.m. So I'm not sleeping in 12 hours a day. I actually rarely even get the full 8, depending when I fall asleep. So I always say I'm on PST, because if you just subtract 3 hours, my timing is actually okay. But I need to lock in a morning routine. I need to lock in something more legit and more repeatable, and that's healthy. So love your thoughts on that, whether it's something you do yourself or things that some of your friends might be doing, or
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. I mean, and this goes back to the neuroscience too. I think it would greatly benefit you to adjust that schedule, and I'm going to call it daylight hours, right? Like to align with the pattern of the sun. So if you can go to bed at 9 and get up at 6 instead of 3 to 12, your body's circadian rhythm and like how natural sunlight enters your eye. You can look up Andrew Huberman's posts on this or stuff. If you're a Huberman guy, he just does it better and explains it well. So I will credit Huberman with that. But it's out there, like basically having natural light enter your eye, and you will see that even your sleep cycle. If you were to get 8 hours on your schedule and you were to get 8 hours on the sun cycle schedule, where it's during the dark period, and you do that regularly, your circadian rhythm is going to be like your sleep quality and recovery is going to be better by a lot.
Yeah, this is what I'm hearing. So,
I
because
mean,
the thing is too,
it's totally worth it. I promise you, it works.
yeah, because the thing too, like I don't play video games all night. I like last night, for example, I was still doing work. I was doing LinkedIn follow-ups until I think it was midnight, and then I went on a walk, and then the walk was about 45 minutes, and then from there I think I just showered, and maybe I had like a bowl of cereal or something, and I went to bed. So by the time I actually went to bed, it was probably
Don't eat
2:30. I was
carbs
in
before
bed.
bed, Josh.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I know I usually
Protein.
don't eat
Sorry.
cereal either. I have it for the days where I'm like, you know what, I need a little bit of cereal with my Fairlife milk.
Sorry, I don't know.
But yeah, I know it's my schedule is whack. But again, I'm productive in those late hours. I'm not just sitting around, farting around doing nothing. But I realize too, the reason I think I like those late hours is because I can work when everyone else is asleep, which could be the same logic if I just reverse it, right? And I wake up at 6
Yeah.
or something.
Well, I
So
mean, I just think it's better for you, like as a machine, right? As your body, as this, carbon-based life form. Like we are meant to be up when the sun. Like for our species, there's all kinds of neuroscience and stuff that goes into this. But if you can do that and just back it up 30 minutes a day, set a bedtime alarm and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do until you get there. So it's not a jet lag type of a feel for a few days, which is just kind of unpleasant. But do that until you get there and then lock it in for 2 weeks and see how much it changes. Because I'm like you, like I can stay up, especially when I'm in a flow state, like I can stay up and work all night. Like it's easier for me to tack on extra productivity at the end than it is in the morning to wake up and do it. But my body and my brain is so much sharper and I'm so much more productive and efficient if I can do what I just suggested to you in terms of sleep cycle.
yeah, that's the
It
thing.
really
I'm
works
realizing
better.
more and more now. I find, maybe when I was 21, I could be sharper in the night. But now, I'm not old. I'm 30. But even still, I realize past 11 p.m., I am, even though I might be awake and I can do work, I'm not as sharp, and I am starting to dull down at those later hours. So the work I do probably could be condensed almost in a more effective period of time if I was sharper in the morning. So as I'm realizing all this, I'm like, yeah, I need to I need to make some changes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really think if you try it, it'll work for you.
Yeah, like when I started my first business in marketing, I remember this is 20, I got out of the military in 2017. So this is 2018. I was just like watching so many videos and learning, and as I was watching a video, I would then implement how to make a Facebook pixel, how to create your funnel, and there was so many nights I just went straight through 24 hours straight. I just didn't sleep, nothing, or I would work until 6 a.m. Maybe I'd go for a walk, and then I'd sleep from 7 to 1 p.m. and then I'd get up and start again. And my brain was so active and racing, I couldn't sleep. I'd be lying in bed just thinking about a million things, staring at the ceiling. And that wasn't a crunch, by the way. I have a headrest. You can't see it. I realize it looked weird without the background.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's the one thing for me is my racing brain and calming my thoughts and my mind so I can sleep. Because there's many nights even now where it's 3 a.m. I'm staring at the ceiling and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's better if I just drink a coffee and stay up and do work and then go to bed at like 6 and then, or just stay up the full time. And then I'll be really tired by tomorrow night and I can go to sleep at an early hour. Like sometimes that's what I do just because of how
I wouldn't skip a sleep cycle if you can help it. A full one. Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't introduce any extra stimulants into your bloodstream if you don't have to. Caffeine half-life is 12 hours. It lasts a long time. Most people don't think that. I mean, even if you drink your last cup of coffee at noon, I mean, it's really not done until midnight. And a lot of people don't realize it, especially people like us who have higher tolerances for caffeine because we've abused it for so long. And we kind of have a little bit of burned out adrenals, but I would, if I was you, I would start backing my coffee up too. And just say, hey, like, okay, 12 hours from since you're going to start setting an alarm for bedtime, stop drinking your coffee. I would even 10, like and I drink coffee a lot too, but it will help you. I promise it will. Those are like pro hacks, man. Like those are things that will super change your productivity, especially if you can get into a routine of doing it consistently.
What about this though? What if I keep drinking stimulants until like 5 p.m., but then at like 7 p.m., I just start drinking alcohol and I'm kidding. And then I depress the stimulant.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Tim Ferriss interview with some Silicon Valley CEO. I can't remember who it was, some tech company guy from 5-6 years ago. And he was like, caffeine for 8 hours, alcohol for 4. And I was just like, I don't drink at all. I quit drinking 5.5 years ago, but basically he's just trying to do what I told you about with the theanine earlier, which is just calm yourself down and back it off. That would actually be a good idea for you. You could actually take a pure theanine product, which they make. You get, a bottle of theanine pills which is amino acid from your natural grocers or wherever you have in Canada, Whole Foods, or I don't know what you have, but, and take that, 2-3 hours before you go to bed, and it'll really calm your nervous system down.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always looking for new hacks or new ways to sleep well and sleep long. Because I find if I take melatonin, for example, I would say it definitely helps me sleep deep and stay asleep. But, the next morning sometimes can be really groggy. So I'll usually I have like melatonin gummies. They have passion flower and lavender and a couple things in them. But if I know I can sleep in, if it's a Saturday, for example, and there's no meetings the next morning, then I'll take a couple of those. But if I know I have to wake up and be sharp right away for the first thing in the morning, I typically won't because it takes me a little bit longer to kind of get started.
Get a little hangover, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of hangover, it's funny. Same here. I don't drink. I enjoy a nice drink here and there with dinner or with friends, but I don't need it. I don't go out and buy it. Whatever. So the other day, my friend invited me over for some steaks, and I had so much work to do that night, and I was like, oh, you know what? I need a little bit of a break. So let me go have some steak. And he had his one buddy had whiskey he brought, which I hate whiskey. But I was like, he poured a glass for everybody. So, just a little glass with some ice. And I'm like, well, fine, I'll, bottoms up. All right, I'll try some. And so I was half a beer in, normal beer. And I think pretty much done that equivalent of about a shot and a half of whiskey. And I hadn't eaten anything all day because it was a full day of meetings. And all I had was 2 of these. And that's it. And zero food. By the time my friend brought the steaks out, again, half a beer, 1 shot of whiskey, 1.5 shots. I was like, I was not okay. And I was like, man, I am a lightweight. Holy smokes. And then obviously and then I finished off one more beer over the course of like 4 hours. So it just, I didn't get more tipsy than that. But it's just funny how much of a heavyweight I am with caffeine and how
Yep.
much of a lightweight I am now with alcohol.
Yeah, right. And drink a lot of water too, especially if you're a heavy caffeine drinker. It's really important. If you're re-upping caffeine, you should be re-upping water at the same time.
At the same time?
Well, you know what I mean. If you're gonna within that 30 minutes, if you're gonna drink another coffee, drink another liter of water in the middle of it.
I've realized actually, I'm pretty sure I'm more dehydrated than I thought I was because I've been getting a lot of headaches lately, and I don't get headaches, but I've been staring at my computer a lot too, which obviously contributes.
Sure.
But I think part of it is my body is like, yo, you drinking too much caffeine, you're staring at your computer too long, you need more water. So, because I would say I probably get through maybe one of these a day, which is not enough. Because then I'm drinking so many other fluids in my energy drinks, or I had a Prime last night, for example. But yeah, actually, I'm curious. What do you think about some of these hydration drinks? Like, I mean, I know Gatorade is full of sugar, that kind of stuff, but for the
Yeah, I
most
mean,
part,
electrolytes I think are good. I mean, especially if you're working out a lot and you're sweating and it's hot, you're outside, like those types of things to replenish. Or you're working out, or you work outside, or you're doing cardiovascular stuff in the summer and it's hot. I think an electrolyte drink is valuable, which is basically salt and minerals, right? I mean, I don't want to get into the science of that right now, but I think, and people aren't going to like this. I'm a supplement guy and a neuroscience guy, and most of the hydration drinks are bullshit. I mean, it's just marketing to get you to buy something that's really cheap to produce. I mean, you want to talk about cheap, put salt and flavoring, especially artificial flavoring, into a drink that just tastes like Kool-Aid and tell people to drink it, right? I mean, there are some benefits of that, but if you're talking about like a real hydration drink that promises the deliverable from the drink is we're going to hydrate you faster, and most of those drinks are less than 10% faster. And if you're talking about drinking a liter of water, it's like and it takes 15 minutes to absorb, but it takes 13 minutes to absorb an electrolyte drink, like keep the money in your pocket.
yeah,
Unless you just love the taste of it and you can get something for cheap. Like if you can buy I'm just going to call out like a liquid IV or something like that at Costco where you're getting like 100 packets for $8 and you just love the different, like I buy Pellegrino, like whatever. It's probably $1.50 a bottle, but I love it. It's like some people like a Starbucks. Like, if you're really trying to save money, don't spend $6 on a coffee.
yeah, yeah.
But if you're, a well-off person or whatever, and you enjoy it or it's a treat or something, like go enjoy it. Like that's part of life too. So I think if you do enjoy those, especially while you're working out or something like that, or it's a hot day, like I don't drink alcohol. Like if I come I don't mow my lawn anymore either, but like if I was working outside and it's hot or something like that, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna have a cold beer, it's like I'll have a Pellegrino or something. If you like that for a hydration drink, use it for that, but you're not really gonna get the benefits that they're pitching to you. It just doesn't do anything.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny. I love like Fiji, Evian, these kind of waters. We don't have Shoppers Drug Mart. Shoppers is like a drugstore. It's like our CVS type of thing. So there's a Shoppers near me that for some reason, one Evian, I'm talking about the big ones, the big like liter and a half or whatever it is, right? Or I guess it's probably a liter. One is I think 4.25. Two is going to be 8.50. Three is 4.75. So they have like buy three for the price of one, pretty much.
Yep.
So whenever I go there, if I have a friend coming over and they're coming through that way, I'm like, can you stop at the Shoppers on Rymel and Upper James and can you get me some water?
Yep.
But
That's how I
true
am
though.
too. It's like $3 for the tall glass Pellegrino at Whole Foods, and I'll buy like cases at a time from Costco. I'll buy 4 cases of 15 at a time, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
averages
Feel the deal.
down to like $1 a piece or something. It's like I can
Yeah.
afford it. It's fine. I don't care. But
Yeah.
and I enjoy it. I don't drink alcohol, so it's a net win for me monetarily. But
Yeah, man.
anyway,
Well, cool.
before we jump, I want to make something about you too. I think that, and I think this is how we connected. As I think I made a comment on Bradley's posts, and whatever different people's views are. I think Bradley is a traditional masculine figure, within the community. I don't think that he's really too polarizing one way or the other. I think some people do see him as that way, but he's definitely not as extreme as some of the others that are out there. I think that I don't think that he crosses that toxic masculinity line. I like him a lot. Let's just put it that way. And I don't agree with everything that anyone says, including, things I don't like about myself, right? Like you don't always agree. There's no person walking the planet you agree with 100% of. But I think
Of
that
course.
I do like Bradley. I like his positions and his views on a lot of things, and I think that's how we originally connected. And I think it's an interesting and great connection for you, and that you're involved in Bradley's platform. And so I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you got involved with Brad, and kind of what your views are there. And I think that that's a unique thing of who you are.
Yeah, no, sure, I appreciate that, and that's kind of my mo for a lot of reaching out to people, especially on Instagram. I find there's a good engagement rate when you go to the comment sections on certain big names like Brad, and I'll just look through. I don't message everybody because some people are weird and have strange profiles, but I'll hand select a bunch of profiles, look through them, and if I'm like, oh, we're commenting on the same person, we both like this, whether it's Simon Sinek or Brad Lee or it's like Tony Robbins or something, or if it is someone more controversial, even like a Jordan Peterson, who some love, some hate. Depending who I'm trying to connect with, I'll essentially go to a page of that kind of person, and then typically I'll find people that are similar. And so, yeah, in terms of getting connected with Brad, I mean, I've seen his stuff for years. Same like you. I would say, do I agree with everybody anyone says? No. But do I overall like his message, his content? Yeah, and that's why I was attracted actually. So, funny enough, an ad popped up on my Instagram a while back, and it was for one of his. He was just saying, I need more closers. I need people in my program, whatever. And I was like, I was in such a transition period where I usually would just skip past all those ads because I know it all leads to some kind of a sale and I'm gonna have to buy something. What it just, I was open, I was looking, and I was like, well, if there's an opportunity to get close to someone like Brad, or specifically Brad, I mean, why not? And so I just kind of saw it through, did an interview, did a few things, did a bunch of training, yada yada yada. Ended up getting on the team with Lightspeed VT, which is his interactive training platform. It's kind of the baby. It's kind of the hub of a lot of his other companies, and that's where he's based in Vegas. Is the Lightspeed VT headquarters. They do a lot of conferences there. They do a lot of stuff. It's a really cool place. Hopefully I'm going to be able to visit soon. But yeah, because of that, I have a lot of friends now. A lot of cool friends in high ticket sales in that world of online, just entrepreneurship in general. And funny enough, it's because of that relationship that I was then kind of able to, I guess, build some trust and build a little bit more connection with, Rob and Carrie, the guys at Brand Alchemy. And then, through that, started working with them too. And so it just goes back to what I was saying earlier about relationships, because if I can, if and then Brad actually, I'm grateful for this. He recorded a little video for me that is now, I think it's still pinned on my Instagram page. So it's, all those little things that
Sure.
contribute. And now message somebody else, it's like, well, Josh knows Brad. I've had actually quite a few meetings one-on-one with, well, not one-on-one, but me, Brad, and somebody else that either we're trying to sell someone or we're talking about doing business collaboratively. So I've got to see how he does things behind the scenes. And I would say he's exactly kind of who you expect him to be,
Yep.
but also deeper. There's another layer of, like you said, this kind of toxic masculine thing that's out there. He's not that.
Right.
And I would say even more on a personal level, I would say his Instagram and that kind of stuff is even, it's more abrasive than
Sure.
he is as a person individually,
Sure.
which typically is the sign of, it's typically what leaders are like, is on stage, you say things that are a little bit more general, possibly abrasive, but then one-on-one in those conversations, if you can't have empathy and if you can't have, the nuance of human relation, then you're probably a pretty bad
I,
leader.
I think I think that's exactly right, and I think that and that's also how people grow, right? I mean, you're talking about media and what sells, and clickbait, and rage bait, and all this stuff that gets people to engage on these platforms, and that's how it's how you generate more followers. It's a lot of these people who are polarizing in extremes. I don't think the Tates are, from some inside information through other people that I know that are close to them, they're not that kind of way as much as they appear to be on video either. They play it up so much because it goes viral, and so it just helps them business wise. And so I could really see that with Brad. I think he's a good guy. I haven't met him in person yet, but um, there's some other people like that too. And I think your connection to that, I want to bring this back to like the good person type of a aspect of this too, is that there are people who want to get close to people like that because it's just beneficial for them, and also they see an opportunity, or it's not conniving, but it's just self-serving only. And I think that for you, it's not that. I think it's also just that you have a good moral alignment with him, and I think I do too. And it's just that connection there that makes it worthwhile. Of like, similar mindset people are want to run together and be under the same umbrella. And I think it's more of that than it is just, hey, like I want to get close to, like, it's not like starstruckness.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Something I've started to realize, I guess, because he's probably, I would say, the most famous person that I've ever been as close to, right? And I'm realizing there's certain elements of like you and me, our relationship that I can't necessarily have with Brad until I don't want to say prove myself, but kind of show that I'm contributing value without expecting anything.
Sure.
Whereas you and me be a little bit more, we're on the same page right away. We can, hey, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, and we're just we can start on a similar level. Where someone
Yep.
like Brad, who's just so used to everybody, like you said, always expecting, always just trying to clout chase and use his celebrity, use his influence for their own purposes. I realize getting to that level, and hey, God willing, I want to be at that level soon enough, right? And I'm sure same for you, in terms of having the connections, having the abundance, all that. He's at that point where and I get it. I'm not even mad about it. He needs to see that I'm willing to contribute value, whatever that looks like, before I receive value from him necessarily, because yeah, just because everybody wants to take. And the question is, are you willing to give in order to receive? But where is your heart in that giving? Is it only to receive, or is it because you genuinely have a generous heart and you want to, like, I would do something for you as a friend, whether or not it did something immediately back for me,
Sure.
because I'm your friend and I care and that's how I am.
Sure.
Not everybody was actually like that.
I think that's right. And I also think that, it's a little bit nuanced too, because I go into every relationship, especially business relationships, where it's like, hey, I want to add as much value as I can. And that's legitimate. That's not a facade thing. It's like, hey, I add value to you, you're going to add value to me. I think that the difference is the level of achievement and where you're starting. It's like the amount of value that a guy who's, let's call it a top tier person, right? Like your millions of followers, whatever, super have achieved a lot. Like we're talking, 9-figure guys, 8, 9-figure guys, stuff like that. The amount of value they can add to you, even for a very small incremental amount of time, is massive because of where they are. And even if you go to them and say, hey, I want to add as much value to you as I can, what can I do for you? There's like very little you can do that moves the needle for them because they're so successful already and they've already achieved so much. It's like for them to make big leaps and to find people, they have to be doing what we're doing, right? It's like there's the 100 million guy who's like, okay, there's a 5 billion guy in, XYZ in Europe that, I want to jump on his 105-foot yacht and let's see how we can do business together. Like that's where the difference is. And so I think that as you're coming up, it's very difficult. I think it's humility and gratitude and, good alignment, mindset wise, that they just want to be around you and use you and their team because you're a genuinely good person. But what you can bring to the table for them is just incrementally smaller from what they can. That's just the nature of that relationship.
Right. And it's interesting too, right? Because then at the end of the day, it comes down to why would that kind of a person, not that they're better than you, it's
They're
nothing to do with
not.
more,
They've just
but
gotten there sooner.
yeah, they've gotten there sooner and it's time as well. Like I know Brad has a family, for example.
Me
So
too.
why would he invest a lot of time into just Josh, just this guy, right? And so I think for the people of that nature, of that caliber, it's like, yeah, it really is. You probably can't do a lot for them, but it's do they trust you? Do they like you? And do they see value in that relationship? Which I think, funny enough, then is how we should all be thinking too, right? And even this last year, I would always think like, well, do I like being around this person? Do I feel like I want to be around this person? Whether it's a friend, it's dating, it's whatever.
Sure.
But now I'm realizing, for me at least, it's a lot more than just do I like them. It's what do they do to my energy? Do they
Sure.
suck my energy out?
100%.
Do they charge me? I heard a long time ago, one of my mentors said, some people are either battery chargers or battery drainers. And so now when I'm like, I might like you, but you exhaust me. And so now I'm going to put you in a certain kind of bucket in my life where I only give you a certain allotment of time in maybe certain circumstances. Maybe I see you with a few other friends combined, but I can't give you my time one on one because all you do is drain my energy. And so now when I figure out who people are to me, and it's again nothing about their value as a human, but it's how do they show up in my life. And right now, I'm at max capacity for myself, at least in this current state. So I can't bring somebody else on who sucks any of that energy or any of that life force. I can only bring people closer to me who recharge me, encourage me, are on the same path as me. And it's not
100%.
that I think less of those that aren't. It's that I genuinely can't afford the energy drain. I just
Oh,
can't.
100%. Me too. I'm always maxed out. I mean, people who say they're bored, I'm like, how do you do that? It's just there's just not enough time in the day to get everything done. And I think that relationships are super important. There's a lot of motivational folks and iconic people out there who talk about that, but it's really true. It's not just a time thing, but it's just it's and for me personally, like I don't have time for anybody who is a complainer or has victim mentality. Like if you're not positive and optimistic all of the time, like we're just talking about, energetic, all of those things, like it's just not going to happen. Like I just will not engage with you. It's cut and dry, and you can find out in 5 minutes. It's like I'm going to clip that person, or we're not going to build a new relationship, and that's just the way that it is. And we don't need to talk about that, but it's everybody comes from. There's so much talk out there, especially in society today, about where they're coming from and privilege and all of that, and it's like, hey, all of us can't. I was born in a trailer. We can talk about my past later, but like I came from nothing and put myself through college and like have been through a bunch of different things, life, really close to death things several times. I was at Columbine during the shootings. I was a senior in high school in '99, like those kinds of things. And it's just, and that's not the same as other people who, African American person who grew up in the projects who then is like a business entrepreneur and owns 12 businesses and like that. Those kinds of stories are just like super incredible, right? Um, but I think that victim mentality in society is just too rampant. It's just everybody wants everything faster. They're not willing to put in the time. They're not willing to put in the effort, and they just have to realize like you can't change what your baseline is. You can't change what cards you were dealt. Like some people were born with one leg or three fingers or whatever whatever your circumstances are. Those are the cards you're dealt. Like it's not fair. Our baselines are not fair, but you just have to do what you can with what you have. And if that's not the mindset of somebody, I can't work.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah,
at the end of the
that's
day,
a
too,
rant, but that's where I'm at.
no, no, we're on the same page, man. And at the end of the day, too, I always think, who wants to read the book of the person who I woke up, I tried this thing, it worked out the first time, everything's great, now I'm rich. I've even heard it said, for those that life is that way on this earth is their heaven. And potentially because the whole biblical parable, right, of it's easier for a rich man, or it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Although people always skip the next part of the verse, which literally says, but all things are possible through God. So anyways, besides that, not to get biblical on you, the point being that it's the trope of the rich typically become corrupt and then will go to hell. So it's kind of this idea that they live heaven on earth and hell afterwards, whereas those that live hell on earth can live heaven afterwards. But at the end of the day too, it's, you don't want to read the book, you don't want to hear the story of the person who had it easy. It's inspiring to see people come from nothing and build something. That's the Pursuit of Happiness movie. That's every movie, right? So I always try to even remind myself when I'm going through whatever, like, this is a chapter in your book. When someone's reading this one day, whether I'm still alive or I'm dead, will they be inspired by the decisions I make and my perseverance? Or will I give up and the book stops, right?
Yep.
And so I always think like, okay, well, all of my favorite stories, all of my inspirational heroes, even fictional heroes, they all had these crazy hard trials and moments. And a lot of times in the movie, it'll just say 5 years later. Yeah, but in that 5 years is so much trial and turmoil. And I realized that, oh, maybe I'm in that 5 years later
You are.
part, so that the movie, the kind of the start of the movie, or the start of the hero's journey, I guess you could say, is actually what I'm about to enter into, or I'm already a part of, right? So
100%. Yeah, that struggle is what makes the fruit at the end so much sweeter too. I mean, somebody who comes from nothing, it's really hard. They went through a lot of darkness and struggle and personal strife to get there. And those are the really good, quote unquote, good and like grounded, wealthy people and rich people, right? That are always reaching back to help people come back up and all of that stuff. And they have good routines and habits, and they're healthy and they're fit and they're like all of those things. Those are those types of people, and those are the aspirational types of people. It's the transference of generational wealth via trust to somebody who's 20 years old, who's got a drug addiction and is overweight and is hiring prostitutes and flying around on their plane and showing that lifestyle. It's like that's a totally different thing, and they are just not built, developed people inside. Um, it's different. That's where that money doesn't bring happiness kind of a thing comes from, is when it's not.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to everything, but as a generalization, I think that most people who just acquire that very, very quickly don't have that real contented sense of like, I went through a lot to get to where I am, and this is like, you know, there's that achievement. Like that's one of the things that drives me. I'll end with that. But one of the things that drives me is not reaching my potential, or not feeling like I know what I'm capable of, and to not be executing against that in a meaningful way. And you're never going to hit 100%, but not executing that in a real meaningful way where you're really trying. If I was to be on my deathbed at 80 and looking back and be like, I could have built 10 companies. Like, it's not just about the money. It's like, what am I instilling in my kids, work ethic and perspective and morals and all of that stuff. And it takes being that person to really get it across, and everybody knows if you're not, you're just saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time we'll have to talk more about this topic, because I love this, creating the generational wealth that lasts generations, because you build leaders through your children, not just whiners and wimps, right? Last thing I'll say too is, one of my mentors one of my mentor's friends that I've also met a bunch of times. He's actually based in Las Vegas. When he was young, his dad was already a multimillionaire. And so sometimes when I met this guy originally, I thought, oh, well, his dad was already rich. That's why he's rich. Then I heard his story and I was like, oh, okay. So as soon as he was 16-ish, I think 17, he went to school because he knew the lifestyle his dad created. He knew he could follow in his footsteps, wanted to do his own thing, right? So he went to university, I think, for like 1 year. And he was like, okay, this is a joke. Forget it. Dad, just teach me what you do and let's just get on with it. And his dad said, "Oh, you want to learn the business? You want this lifestyle? You want, you like what you see and how you've been brought up, and you want to create that for your yes. Okay, great. Move out, get a job, and you get nothing but my time." And that's what he did. And for about, I think, 13 years, him and then eventually his wife lived in a garbage apartment and struggled and had to work. I think he worked in insurance or something. He just had to do whatever he had to do, but learn from his dad exactly the steps to become successful and wealthy. And I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm pretty sure his dad actually said, like, you're not going to inherit anything unless you become the man you need to be to maintain and grow, and it's not going to destroy you.
Yep.
And I remember and there's other things I learned from that family and many others, but it's just something that's been instilled in me now for years since I started this journey, that I want to be able to be an example of exactly what you were saying, of a healthy, wealthy, wise man who leads generations, not just creates enough money for generations. Because I would rather, and I pray to God this all the time. I say, if you bless me with resources on this earth and it damns me and those around me, keep me poor and on the streets so I can, spend eternity in heaven, essentially, right? Versus if I can become the steward and the man I need to be to govern this wealth and do good things with it and bless people and be this generous, wise, wealthy man, then please give me as much as humanly possible. Because whenever, I don't know if you've heard this or if you've talked to people like this, but someone's like, I don't know what I would do with $100,000. I don't know what I would do with $1 million. I could spend $100 million in a few days. I already know what I would do with most of the money.
It'd be assets, but yes.
Right. Like, there's, whether it's charity, it's assets, it's helping family, friends. Like, so what do you mean you don't know? Do you not care about anybody?
Yeah.
Do you not want to do anything? Do you have no, and so it just blows my mind. But then I realize people know what they know and they don't know what they don't know. And they think within the limitations of the lifestyle and the confinements of, and everything else is fantasy until you decide to make it a reality. Right. And so if everything is fantasy to them, they haven't even thought about what they would do with $100 million, because that is so outside the realm of possibility. But for guys like you and me, it's not. And I want to create much more than that, because I have such big dreams and goals that require resources and relationships. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited to keep, building our relationship and building our wealth and building our businesses and grow alongside each other, because, you need good people to grow with and to keep you accountable, right? Iron sharpens iron. And if I do some wacky shiznit, I need you to call me out, right? And don't worry, I'll call you out too if I see
100%.
somewhere it's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. It's funny whenever I joke around with people. They're what are your goals, blah blah blah, and do you want to be famous? And absolutely not. It's like the social media thing is like a necessary evil these days to have a personal brand, but it's kind of like I don't care if I make $100 million and you call me a janitor or label me the janitor. Great, that is perfect for me. Like I don't care. It's really all about achieving that goal that I want. So
I love it, dude.